Okay. So welcome everyone to the April 21st, 2020 regular Town of Monroe Planning Board meeting. My name is Bonnie Franson. I'm the chairwoman. At this time, I would like our Planning Board Secretary, Noreen Sweeney, to take a roll call to make sure we have a quorum.
Bonnie Franson.
Here.
Jason Sorinsky.
Here.
Jeff Manson.
Here.
Anthony Vaccaro.
Here.
Lisa McQuaid.
Here.
John Allegro.
Here.
And Pat Shea.
So I think we are missing Pat, but we do have a quorum so we can conduct business. With that, if you want to sit or if you want to stand, let's still do the Pledge of Allegiance.
My video.
I should have put a flag on the, the image. I pledge allegiance
to
to
the
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty
and justice
for all.
For all.
Where's Wade? Thank you all. So with that, we are going to open the agenda to Joel Stossel. So I believe Mr. Leibowitz was going to represent him, and then I don't know who else is here representing him. And the applicant.
Okay, I just promoted Mr. Leibowitz,
Okay.
who's on mute.
Mr. Leibowitz, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay, 1 second.
Very good.
1 second.
We hear you.
Oh, hello, good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Oh,
We all stars come together here with my manager, Mr. Leibowitz. We are together.
Okay.
How are you?
Very good.
Better to see you in person, but Zoom is also good.
Yes, this works.
Yeah.
So with that, I think first we'll start with, you did get your paperwork in. Are we all straightened out, Noreen, with the paperwork?
Yes, we are.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
So next item on the agenda is our engineer did prepare comments, and we should bring those up and go through them.
sure. I just work to get this formatted correctly.
And then I think, Sean, once you've gone through your memo, I mean, you could bring up whatever plans you need to show, and then I'll go through
Sure.
my photos.
Okay. All right. Can everybody see the comment letter?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I don't think we have anything substantial, just mainly because we understand that most of it's architectural review. There was a minor site plan element of the proposed ramp, but in my opinion, that's more a building department issue. The county planning did provide a letter of their review with one advisory comment about the ADA compliance of the ramp, and you know that's a building department issue, not necessarily a planning issue. So nothing really further at that time, you know, at this time.
Okay. So with that, if you could share the screen with me, we'll go through photos, and then,
I actually have the
Ashley-
photos up if you want to try to.
oh, okay, if you want to scroll through them.
Sure. You see
Okay.
those?
Right now I'm still seeing the agenda. You may have to unshare that screen and then bring up the
Oh, okay.
photos.
Stop share. See those now?
Yep, there we go. So if you could just expand a little bit. Zoom in. Great. Okay, so this is, I guess, the the side of the building that's farthest away from Route 208, furthest away from the intersection. And I wanted to ask the applicant, and you can make it out better in another photo, but it appears that a line has been dug up, and there is some bare earth area. And if you could just let us know kind of what's going on as far as the site.
Yes, this is basically the drainage from the roof where the water go out. And it was, when I bought this building, it was clogged with a lot of dead mice or rats, I don't know exactly what. So I call a special company, they dig and they put a new pipe and they cover it with holes you can see in the top. It's not in the picture basically, to make sure that it's not gonna be clogged again. So this is basically from the gutters, the water from the gutters.
Okay, we have another picture we could show a little better, but this is the one side of the facade, which seems like it's finished off. If we
You
could
go
go
a
to the next
little more
photo.
left, you're gonna see the outcome from the pipe. You gotta
Yeah,
see-
well,
Yeah,
we have a photo of that, so,
okay.
Sean, you want to move to the next?
Yeah, can you see this photo or no?
I
No.
see it.
Oh,
The next photo I don't see.
okay. Is this the one you were referring to?
Yes. So what is this? This is what I was referring to, that the foundation's been dug up a little bit. It seems like you're doing work, but it's unfinished.
No, I didn't touch the foundation. I just, because the pipe was about 15 feet deep, so the contractor have to dig about 15 feet. So that's why it looks that is the construction, but he just replaced this pipe and he covered it by the end with a cover with holes. So since we make this, then don't have problems. It's never get clogged. But this is just the water from the gutter.
So are you going to be filling in then to meet up
Yes.
to where, okay, and then you'll,
I will fill it in. I will just leave the
standpipe?
Yeah, standpipe.
Okay.
But I will cover it, of course.
and then you'll also reseed?
Yes.
Okay. Next
Spoke
photo?
already to a landscaping company, but it's winter time now. We have to wait for the summer to be able to do
Okay.
it.
You know what, Sean? I put mine all in a subdirectory. Let me see if I can
Sure.
share, because I
Okay.
might, we'll see if I can actually, I in theory should be able to scroll through.
Okay, yeah,
Let's try
I'm actually
this.
just gonna, oh, you can share. I think you can.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a shot.
Can share, so.
No, I
There
don't
we
think
go.
I have yet. Do you see it?
Yep,
Okay, so let me zoom in. All right, so I assume that the dumpster in the back is just because of the work you've been doing,
Correct.
and you will be removing that once it's done?
100%.
Okay,
I will actually call the company tomorrow. We'll ask him to take it away by the end of this week.
okay. Now look at that, my arrow disappeared. All right. See, here's the arrow. So in theory, I should be able to. Okay, so this is just to give everybody orientation. This is the parking lot looking out toward 208. So same thing here, looking over toward the adjoining building. There's some trees in that location. Oh, disappears. Kind of the same photo, but looking over to the building. I want to point out a couple in particular. So you have some existing lights. You're not proposing any new lights, correct? Whatever's there is there.
Yes.
Okay. So this is a corner of the building, and You have wall-mounted lights here, and the one thing that we like to see, and it's part of our architectural review, is that when you have any of these security lightings, that they are downlit, not that they project outwards, and that they are shielded. So I don't know, these look like new lights to me.
Yeah.
Do you have the opportunity to orient those so they're not shining out, or because, you know, again, as new fixtures, this was part of the architectural review.
Okay, so sorry. So what do you want to see about this light?
Sean, do you have any recommendations? It's really just about not having the light shine directly out toward,
Right.
and also having a, you know, a light level that isn't bright white, which seems to be, you know, very distracting to drivers or to anybody
Yeah.
that's going by a site.
When I saw it at night, it's looked that it's shine only on the grass.
So some recommendations I have for that is if that light is adjustable on the mount or on the base, if you can shine it further, you know, more towards the ground.
Oh, okay.
Another recommendation is when you have the high Kelvin number, the 4,000, 5,000 Kelvin, that's when it tends to get the more daylight. That I think they refer to it as the daylight temperature.
Right, right.
If typically we recommend, you know, 2,500, 3,000 Kelvin, which seems to be a little less. I want to use the word abrasive, but you know,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem as bright when you use the low Kelvins.
Right, it's not that brash white color. It becomes closer to getting toward an amber color or a more just softer color.
Softer, right?
And yeah, because
So typically, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the note that we typically recommend on lighting plans. Basically, Mark had created a note that allows the building inspector to require shielding or different lights down the, you know, in the future, should they be obtrusive or, you know, if the building department gets complaints regarding a site.
right.
You know, we
So
can
I
look
think,
at that note as a condition.
yeah, I think as a condition, maybe we could explore the lights and then come up with the solution. I don't necessarily want to hold it up, but I also want to kind of stop this trend of having these really bright white lights that are, you know, facing out, and as you pass by, really become a distraction.
Okay.
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 So then I wanted to go to, so we were talking about pipes. Is this the new pipe that was added?
Oh, this is the same pipe you just spoke about. It. This is from the raining. The
So
same
this
old
is
pipe.
something, so it's a new pipe or an old pipe?
Same thing.
This is the side of the building, and this looks like it's new and that it's popping out. And then
Okay, so let me
holes.
explain you. I didn't realize it's so clear, the pictures. the other pipe you saw, I'm sorry, yeah, it's now it's coming clear. It just, I put a filter to take out, to clear the water and everything. And the filter company told me that one pipe have to go outside of the building. Because this take out the colors, because it's a well. It's not town water. So the other pipe, this is just the rain. This is the rain, the water from the gutter. But the other pipe you show me is from the filtering.
So this is a pipe that has been placed here to collect rainwater.
The rainwater, yes.
And
This
then it
pipe
comes-
was black. I mixed up, but he showed me it looks very similar to me. So I mixed up. But this is the pipe which I spoke 10 minutes ago, which is the water for the gutter. And it was clogged when I buy this building. And I replace it, just dig in, and I replace it and I cover up with with holes to not be clogged again.
Okay, so my question is that this change to the site, you're taking the water, you're directing it to this area, and right next door or somewhere here is the property line. So is this water, the stormwater, being directed to your neighbor?
But it was the same before. I didn't move it. The same place like before. I just put a new pipe because the old pipe was clogged. When I bought this building, I have to check if I have pictures. I don't remember.
Okay,
But
okay.
the pipe was in the same place, the same spot. Nothing changes on the spot.
All right,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
I would just ask Sean that you kind of follow up with Ben on this.
Okay.
You know, just to make sure that it stays the same and that this isn't suddenly just introducing stormwater to your neighbor. So if it was the same.
Yeah, I didn't
looks like
touch
you
it.
did a
I just,
replacement.
yeah, I didn't touch it. I just thought for the contractor, just replace the pipe exact it was before. So he did the
Okay.
same.
All right, so we'll have our engineer follow up with the building inspector.
Okay.
And then what are you planning to do with the facade over here?
Is regular siding okay?
Well, are you going to side it with the siding that you have that's otherwise around the building?
Yeah, I like the color white. If the planning board like it too, I like to make white, and it was in the plan. Once everything is done, we're gonna make you see this color of the white siding? I like white, but if you don't like it, I will choose the color you like, but I like white.
Here also is a good shot of the lights
the
that we
same
have to look
light, yeah.
into. But board members, you know, the whole point of why Mr. Stossel's in front of us is we're doing architectural review of his building. So does anyone feel strongly about whether the back should be the brown or the white? I mean, I guess my reaction is it was brown before, which is a little less obtrusive, but then again, there is a tree line here. So, you know, that's the color now. Any thoughts?
I'm happy with the white. I think that's fine.
Yeah. I think the white looks nice.
I appreciate, thanks.
John?
You know, when I come in every day to the job, when I see a light color, I get happy. I get the good mood. You know, dark colors bring you down.
I love dark colors.
In this situation, I like the use of the white. I think for a medical building, first of all, it's appropriate, and I kind of like the way that the brown is more of an accent with the white around the front of the building. I think since the part facing 208 and the opposite end are to wrap those three sides kind of in white, and then the brown is sort of an
Accent color.
front corner. I kind of like I like that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. John, any thoughts? Anthony?
No objection.
Anthony, you're good? Did we lose Anthony? Anybody else? We're good? Okay, so, you know, my main concern is just simply that it does get sided and that it doesn't remain looking like this. So if you want to do a combination of the white and the brown, that's fine. What's most important is that the siding and these, you know, plywood panels, you know, this appearance doesn't remain.
Okay, yeah, 100%. I will take care of it ASAP.
Excellent. Those were my comments. Anybody else have any other comments? Are we good?
I
So with
think
that,
I
go ahead,
saw
Lisa.
Anthony as an attendee if you want his comments.
I just promoted Anthony up to
Okay.
panelist.
Anthony, there you go.
Yeah, I just got disconnected, so for about 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing, and Sean, do you have the resolution? Or should I share it? Or does Ashley want to share?
I unfortunately don't have it up. I could get it up from the email.
Let me see if I have it here.
De ramp is not good, so ramps and building inspectors are okay. فلقيت مخاي بيقول لازم تقول planning board is okay كستيف does.
I have it. Can you see it?
I see it.
Yes, it's up now. We can see it.
Okay. So let's go through this. Since it doesn't appear anybody has any additional questions. I'm getting feedback. Are you guys hearing me with feedback?
Yes.
A little bit.
Yes, I hear some feedback. But most of us are muted.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. Okay. Oh, that's true. Someone's probably not muted. So I'm hearing them through their. Jeff, do you want to try muting and see if that helps? Okay, that might do it. Resolution of approval, architectural review and site plan amendment. Actually, maybe Sean, if you want to mute us all and then just don't mute me. Well, no, that doesn't help because then no one can speak. So try to all mute yourselves, and then if you have any comments, just unmute yourself if we need to change something. So nature of application, 17M Gold Star LLC seeks architectural review approval of modifications made to the facade of an existing medical office building and a site plan amendment to add ramp to the second floor entrance. Property involved. It's shown on the tax maps of the town of Monroe as parcel 1-1-87. I would just add that parcel. And I'm just going to highlight these, Ashley, so if you want to change it up a little for any reason. Property affected by this resolution is located in the HI zoning district of the town of Monroe. Following the plans and other submittals which form the basis of the planning board's actions in this matter. So we have the completed application form, the 5 photographs of the building, 3 architectural drawings for new primary care outpatient center provided by Optimus. Ashley, should we add the photos, enter into the record the photos that we took, or it's okay to leave it as is?
It's okay to leave it as is because those were things, it wasn't anything that the applicant submitted unless there's something you want to specifically refer to. If, for example, we're going to add a condition about what you're going to be doing to the siding, to that back area, if you want to include that just so it's clear.
Okay.
I have a question. Is this just for the resolution for the architectural review and then there's a site plan review? Because at the last meeting, we had made comments about striping, parking, and signage.
So this is for the architectural review, and also the only site plan change is adding the ramp.
Okay.
I don't think anything's changed. You know, probably does need to be repaved and restriped, but I don't think they're proposing any modifications to what already exists at this point. Date of application, filed with the planning board on December 27, 2019. Public hearing, there's no requirement for a public hearing for ARB applications. Seeker, the matters of type 2 action under seeker. So this wasn't subject to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, therefore we don't have to make any determinations in accordance with seeker. The GML 239M review, it was referred to the Orange County Planning Department, and they had comments were local. They issued a local determination and just had some minor comments. Findings, planning board has determined, exercising its powers of architectural review, that the exterior design, arrangement, texture, and materials proposed to be used are architecturally appropriate and visually compatible with existing buildings and environment, that the alterations are consistent with the architectural style of the existing building and surrounding area, and that the structures are otherwise in compliance with section 5731 standards. Planning board has further determined that approval is amended site plan. Should I change that? Ashley, is this?
So the first paragraph deals with the architectural review, and then the second paragraph is the findings for the site plan amendment for the ramp.
Okay.
If they're adding the ramp, do they have to make any provisions or in the parking lot for access to the ramp?
For striping and ADA requirements?
Yes.
So the ramp does need to comply with the ADA, so that's one of the conditions in there because that was a comment from the county. As far as other requirements for the parking lot, Sean, I don't know if you have anything to.
I haven't, we brought that up at the last meeting. My understanding was that it was just for the ramp, that parking lot was not going to change or didn't need to change to meet the ADA.
But is there a paved surface to the toe of the ramps, or do they have to go across grass to get to the ramp? Just want to make sure that the ramp is functional.
Where is the ramp going on the side?
It's actually, I understand it's in the front. Based on the architectural layout, the ramp ends at the sidewalk, and then the sidewalk has a curb cut to the parking lot. You know, to.
Is it in here?
It's actually.
Because there's a sloped entrance going down to this entrance.
Unfortunately, I can't tell from that photo, but if you go to the plan, I can, or if you'd like me to share the plan.
The survey?
It's called,
This one?
yes, that one. So generally in the center, you can see the ramp has, we'll call it 3 legs right there. That's the bottom of the ramp.
Okay. And so they're going to come this way, and then this is where,
I'm sorry, I think the mouse has a lag in it. More to your left. There's that, oh, no, too far. Back to the right. Right there. That would be the bottom of the ramp right there. So you
okay.
towards the building to go up, is my understanding.
So right in here.
Yeah, move towards the building. See the you can kind of make out the railings.
I'll go toward.
You mind if I share?
Yeah, why don't you could take it over, or you could. Do you want me to stop sharing?
I think I can force it. Continue. For some reason I can't.
I saw it for a moment.
Oh, did you? For some
Yes.
reason I can't find.
That's it.
Okay. So my understanding is that this is the proposed ramp here up to the first floor landing.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So I believe this would be the end of the ramp going towards the parking lot, and they could either choose to go this way to this curb cut or this way to this curb cut.
Okay. And the handicap
Probably more this
spaces
way.
are over here.
Right.
And then there's one over in this location.
Oh, wow, you can draw on top of that. That's cool.
Yes, that's annotate. So if you want to draw people at the very top where it says view options, there's something called annotate, and you can use that to draw. So you think these are properly designed given the location of the parking spaces?
Seems reasonable to me.
Okay. So is this, though, space a new space or an existing space?
Asking the applicant?
Yes.
Yes, me?
Yes.
What do you mean, which space? Sorry.
So
The ramp?
actually, if I could share again my screen.
Sure.
Okay.
So you're asking about the ramp space?
Yeah, so can everybody see the aerial? This is from Orange County GIS. So right now,
We don't see anything.
you don't see anything.
No.
Oh, wait, hold on. Now you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So this is an aerial of the site, and right here, it looks like there's a straight line. I don't even know if there were parking spaces there. I think there were.
Yeah, it's both sides parking space.
So there's parking here and then there's parking
Yes.
here.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
To the end, yeah.
So what is happening there? You show parking space for a handicapped, and then it has kind of this.
It's
go back-
market already. It's market already. The parking space for handicapped is here, but the next to the building, yeah. Actually, I
So-
can't send the picture. That's market already. I think it's 4 parking space for handicapped.
So if I look at this survey, what is this? If there's parking here, is it being taken away by this?
Not what I know. When my engineer told me nothing parking space will be touched from this ramp. Because everything go on the grass.
Okay. Well, so that's what I'm curious about, because, so this is existing, because that's not what this isn't
Yeah.
kind of what it looks like right now.
Nothing will be changed because the ramp go on the grass.
Do you see what I'm seeing, Sean, or am I just not looking at the map properly?
Yeah, it doesn't seem to gel with the aerial.
I mean, let me do something here quick. Can someone clear out their scribbles? Where are we? We're here. Maybe that's an old image or old aerial. I mean, so see how there's all this, now you could see in the spaces, there's all this parking here.
Yes, everything the same like you see here.
So
Just the garbage in the front is no more here. You see the garbage on the side? This garbage moved already.
you mean this here?
Yeah.
That's good.
Otherwise, the parking and the handicap, the trees are blocking the picture from the handicap. But it's handicap parking. Everything is like the same. No, nothing will be touched, nothing touched. Yeah. No changes.
So what you're showing here is that you come in and there's parking along the length of this area. And then it continues, and there's parking on this side as well.
Yes.
And if we look at your plan,
Okay.
that's not what this is showing, as far as I can tell. And I defer to you, Sean.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't appear to exactly match.
This is showing new planted area.
I don't know. I have to check with my engineer. I'm gonna try to remember. There's no changes. I'm not. So
Yeah,
good. Okay, go ahead.
because what happens is if you're changing the parking count, we don't know what the parking requirement is because we didn't focus on parking. We focused on your ramp. If you're taking away parking spaces, we don't know if you meet the parking requirements for this property. And the way this is showing, whoever drew up your map is showing that you're going to come in, you're going to have one handicap space here, and that you have a 20-foot driveway aisle that will go back toward the additional parking area, and I'm not even sure what this is.
To be honest, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not so good in plans, but I remember that he told me when I took the top.
Up on the line.
I took the top guy on the line, and I remember he told me that's parking will be changed, so I don't know what to tell you. And I don't know why we need even to change. If the ramp is like we see in the picture, it doesn't make sense that we have to touch any parking. So I think it's just a mistake or wherever.
So my question is, you're adding a sidewalk, but the sidewalk that you're adding is within the existing curb line?
How much I know, yes.
That's what it appears.
Who drew the smiley face?
I suspect it's someone who is covering their mouth at the moment. Okay, guys, clear out. Thank you. All right, so Ashley, do you think that we should basically approve the changes to the architecture and the ramp and nothing else?
So I think it's really hard to tell what's really even on the plan that you're being shown. And I had tried to structure a condition in the resolution to say that everything that isn't really new should come off the plan. Because some things, like you just noted, the sidewalk, it's called new, but I thought the only thing that was really new to the site plan was the ramp. So I would prefer that we have a copy of the old plan and know exactly what is being sought by this amendment, because it's really not clear.
Is that okay? Is that okay that Ben shall take care of it?
Yeah, because what I don't want is that this is being approved. This is not what's, my concern is that then suddenly we're going to see the parking removed, et cetera.
We'll not
I
let us
think
have.
we should wait until that's a fundamental issue that really needs to be resolved before.
So I shall contact my engineer to clarify it, right?
I guess your engineer would probably have a copy of the older plan. I don't know. I know Noreen had tried to find one and she couldn't. But as far as for taking action tonight, I think this board needs to know what's there that's already approved and what's being changed before you could really consider that.
Yeah, my concern is that this is actually going out further in some way, which is why they're removing the parking. I'm not sure that that's the case, but there seems to be some plantings in the building here. It's a little hard to tell. You have this coming out, then you have this jogging in. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's the same distance, but there almost seems to be more land here. And I think in particular, it looks like the curb is straight and then curves toward this parking space. And here we basically have a flat curb. And so there's something that's not jiving with a representation that nothing's changing other than the sidewalk.
Another thing
Yeah,
also
I'd have to
noted, Bonnie,
agree.
was the lighting, and I believe we told the applicant at the first meeting that if there's new lighting that needs to be shown, we needed the details of that. So whatever those new lighting fixtures are, I understand that they're already installed, but this board has to approve them and then, be consistent with your lighting standards and all that. So I think you should also have a detail for the lighting too.
Pictures is
Okay.
enough?
Guys, whoever's doing the,
Signature and the actual,
sorry, go
light.
ahead, Ashley.
the light specification.
Yeah, I don't know who's doing some of the drawings, but they're getting a little out of control, so please stop. So we'll get back to the resolution. Ashley, do you have the ability to share screens? Just wondering if I should do this or if you want to go through this, if there's edits, especially now that it's gotten more complicated.
Yeah, I mean, I would honestly say that you shouldn't be approving it tonight until you have those issues resolved. It's not something, I mean, we don't really know what you're approving at this stage. with the plans how they are. I don't know.
And can they approve it just for the architectural review and the ramp only, so that if there are no curbing and parking modifications, they're essentially done and they can submit plans showing that as a condition?
I mean, I had
Appreciate-
tried to do the one condition that says that. I don't know. I don't know how we know that, and I don't know what, if anything would really be delayed by waiting another month, because I believe there's already a temporary CO and.
Okay.
But the problem is, if I may say something, if you come to visit my office, I have a day over 300 patients, and 5% of this is old people with medical conditions. They have a real problem to come up the steps. So if you can do something, for me, it's not a big difference for the building, but for the handicapped patients, it's a big problem. It's Dr. Zelenka's office. If you know in the news, he's very famous lately with the coronavirus. You have a cocktail, and a lot of people come here.
You hire two separate people.
You have big success. So I have 5% of old sick people. We have a real problem to come up to the office. If you can do something, I should be able to start to do about the ramp, because for the handicapped people, it's a big problem for them.
So I guess what you would need to do is, as Sean had said, submit a plan just with the architecture and just with the ramp that's being approved. And if there's any discrepancy into as far as what the planning board is approving tonight, and then if something else is new on that plan, you're going to have to come back.
The problem is I can't break everything. I spoke tomorrow to my engineer to clarify it exactly if something is new. But if you're gonna come back that you just make a mistake or something like this, and then I have to wait another month for the planning board, it's a big problem for my handicapped patients. This is what I want to clarify. So let's say if you can approve it subject to clarify it for my engineer, and you gotta see it's not new things, I should be able to
That's
start.
what I was just saying.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, we would need that plan showing, we need a plan just showing exactly what is
That's
needed.
fine.
If there's anything different than what's being approved tonight, which is just the ramp and the architecture, then that's something.
Okay, I will clarify tomorrow with my engineer. I hope he's open with this. And I will send it to the planning board. And once, if you see it's everything okay, you'll give me the approval. I should not have to wait another month.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think somehow this resolution has to be based on the assumption that there are no changes to the existing parking and that you're not changing the frontage in front of the building.
Okay,
You know, that there's no curb being put in, that the curbs are not changing. I think you just
Okay.
have to word it
I
that
will
way.
check
And if
it.
there,
Okay, go
and
ahead.
if there are, then you have to come back.
Okay, understood.
Okay.
So I will check tomorrow with my engineer and I will get back to you to clarify it.
All right, so for tonight then, Ashley, we're just gonna approve the design of the building. We're gonna deal with the lighting, the facade with the new vinyl siding in the back. The ramp, but the ramp subject to all parking and curbs remaining as is. Does that
Yes.
sound right?
Curb and sidewalk?
The curb and the sidewalk. So I have the specific conditions in front of me, Ashley. How do you think they should be reworded? Can you see them?
Are you able to pull them up, or, I mean, I have mine up, but
Okay, maybe mine isn't showing up, so hold on a second. Just make sure I have the resolution. Can you see that?
yes.
Yes.
Okay. So it says this approval is subject to final engineering review of the plan set and parking memorandum. Plan shall not be signed until received. So is there anything that needs to be reworded here?
Not to the first one.
Okay, and the date of your memo was it today, Sean?
Yeah, so I've added that date in for today's.
Yes.
Okay. Prior to the signing of the plans, the ramp shall be revised to comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act to satisfaction of the building inspector upon consultation with the planning board engineer. Okay. prior to the signing of the plans shall be revised to satisfaction of the planning board engineer to show only those elements being approved by this resolution, i.e. the removal of exterior windows and the new ramp.
Could you say excluding and then make a list?
I would just hate to miss something then, and I think it would be better if we could just limit it to what actually is being approved. I mean, we could add something in there specific about the parking and the curbing, saying.
Right. So, nothing. Nothing herein allows for the alteration of the parking as it now exists, nor the curb area in front of the building. Is that okay?
Nothing here and allows for the parking, for changes to the parking area or the curbed area in front of the building, is that?
It's not curved now, so, or the, oh, you may have said curbed. Or the curbing as it exists presently. Sentence.
As it presently exists? Okay.
Would this restrict any repairs that the applicant may need to do to his sidewalk? I don't recall seeing any disrepair on the sidewalks or the curb, but certainly would want to allow him to repair it if necessary.
Right, so that I think would be part of the element of the ramp. So the removal exterior windows and the new ramp, including sidewalk and handicap, well, and the sidewalk, right? All
Maybe
interior
and-
details.
I was going to say, and maybe handicap accessibility features or.
The new ramp and handicap accessibility features.
Okay. Then nothing herein allows for changes to the parking or curbing areas that exist at present. All interior details shall be removed. All exterior elements such as parking curbs, et cetera, that already exist or have already been approved by the building inspector shall not be referred to as new.
Bonnie?
Yep,
Yeah, sorry, I have a question. So
okay.
thinking about how looking at the plan, going a curved curb area in front of the building compared to the photo that you just showed us, the overhead and the straight curb. The question is that I have is, if there's not a modification to how the parking area in front is designed, is there sufficient space to fit the ADA acceptable handicap ramp in the current condition? I guess what my concern is
Yeah, I don't know.
we would approve this in this way, but that there'd be no way for there be enough space between the building where the ramp is going to go and the existing curb to fit in an acceptable ramp under ADA.
Right, so I think,
At that
Right,
point,
I-
does this become a pointless resolution? Since the applicant
Right.
will have to come back to us and we'll have to re-examine new plans for a change in parking.
well, that might be the issue because the architectural plan showed that there would be this change, which would eliminate parking in the front. And so we're approving this in the event that in fact those plans don't accurately show the improvements, but frankly, what are we approving then? You know, I suspect that
Are we
this may have to come back.
But it gives him the ability to be able to proceed without having to come back, you know, if he can fit the ramp in.
If he can fit it. That's the one benefit. It also gives him the ability to do the siding, to finish up the siding, change the lights. But if anything's changing to the parking or to the curbing, then he's coming back.
Well, Sean, are you able to tell whether the existing conditions would allow for a ramp as designed or as needs to be designed? Or it's not possible based on what's been submitted?
I can look, but the only way I would be able to tell is if I knew where the existing curb line is, and it doesn't appear that that's shown on a plan.
So what are we doing here, everyone? Should we press forward with this resolution? Or do you want more detail?
Can we separate and have two resolutions, one for the architectural aspect and then have them come back for the site plan aspect? Would that help the applicant?
Possible. The main thing I want to have for my sick people to be able to come up and to not have a problem to get the doctor which they need for, otherwise they can die. So this is a little emergency. This is what I'm asking. All other things, it can wait. It's okay. I understand you have to be, that's your job to make sure everything is safe. But since you can't come alone, you see, I have several people who are not able to come to the doctor. The doctor have to come out to them, and this affecting the health condition for these people. So it's a real emergency. You should do what you can help for the sick people to be able to get what they need.
Anybody else? John or Lisa, Jason, Pat?
I would prefer two separate resolutions, one for site plan, one for architectural review.
So
Second
if we do architectural review, that's going to really only cover the lights and the siding.
Correct.
And I don't know that that's the applicant's priority.
For my side, it's okay, but what should I do with the sick people that are unable to come up to the building? There's a big problem. I told for several people it's gonna be soon.
Yeah.
As of now, this was somebody have to make a EKG last week and wasn't able to come up. It was a really big problem. So
we appreciate that. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to look at these plans till now. And there's just inconsistency between what your architecture is showing on the plans and what the improvements would be, and what we thought we were approving.
So that's why, if I may ask, if you can approve it subject, like you said before, it's not going to be touch any parking, not going to be touch any curb. So if that's your concern, I will make sure that I'll go back tomorrow to my engineer, and I will check with them if it's going to touch any parking, any curb, and if it's not going to touch, you should approve it subject to this. If I may ask, please, the board.
My only other concern is that we don't have a plan that shows the reality of what's going to happen to the site.
I can provide it to you in the next couple of days. I will go to my engineer. I will tell them all the concerns you have. I will ask him emergency to make sure. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say the other alternative, I don't know how the board members feel, is whether we want to give Mr. Stossel an opportunity to get this resolved and have a special meeting. And then what would be involved with that, Ashley?
So then you would just have to set a special meeting that, a quorum of the board can attend, and whenever everyone's available, you could do that once you have the plan submitted. I'll work with Noreen to get that noticed.
Is it
But
3
now
days
that
notice?
everyone is, pretty much working remotely, it actually probably would be fairly easy to arrange for that. It could be even, during the day, one day, or there's
Right.
a lot of options for that.
So this is what I'm going to suggest, Mr. Stossel, that we frankly, there's too much uncertainty with these plans because they don't really match what the site looks like right now. So if you would go back to your architect, find out in fact whether these are the latest plans because they don't match the existing condition. Perhaps we're just working with the wrong set, or this improvement is different from what exists. And then we have to actually do additional site plan review. And then specifically, we have to see whether you have the parking that's required, which is the main concern. And then if it turns out that in fact, nothing's changing and he has a drawing that shows nothing's changing and he can put the handicapped accessibility ramp in, we will call a special meeting so we don't have to wait for a month. You let us know as soon as you give us information, because there is some flexibility. We would just need to get 4 of the board members to hold a meeting, and we could approve it at that time based on more accurate drawings.
Okay, appreciate that. But let me ask you something. What
Yes.
about if it's gonna be the outcome that there is any changes to the parking? What's the process then?
Okay, so then we have to find out specifically what the parking requirement is for this building based on its size. And then we have to find out how many parking spaces you have. So, we want to make sure that he's not removing parking to a point where you're not meeting the requirements, which would then throw you into a situation where you have to go to another board to get a variance, potentially.
Okay, usually what's the requirement? This building is both floors about 6,000 square foot. What's the regular requirement for parking for 6,000 foot? Together.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just asking, let's say I want to be prepared to the next level. If it's gonna be the outcome that the parking change, I just want to know if the engineer can tell me what's the requirement for how many parking a building of this size.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make
yes.
sure. Okay, medical offices, arts building, 1 parking space for each 100 square feet of gross floor area, or 5 parking spaces per licensed medical professional or per examination room, whichever is greater. So you say you have a 6,000 square foot
Both
building
floors.
floor area?
Floors. Yeah, both floors,
So-
6,000.
So that would actually mean 60 parking spaces, which you don't have now.
But a lot of space are dead space. It's just hallways and it's not usable space.
Right.
It's only about 2,100 square foot.
So
Dead space.
So floor area here is defined as we only have a definition, floor area minimum, well, maybe it's somewhere else, gross floor area.
So that really is probably a question for the building inspector, just because I know it has come up on a different application as far as what's floor area for retail and
Okay,
other things. I just don't want to guess.
okay,
Determine something in the past, but
Right.
the applicant can, certainly work with him to find out if there's any, what the parking requirements are, and then if you can't meet them, if you can't add new parking to meet them, then you'll have to get a variance.
And another thing.
It's previously approved. I don't know when, we don't have the old plans. I don't know when this was approved and whether perhaps it was under old zoning where there's not an issue.
Okay, so I
Right.
will contact tomorrow morning my engineer. And maybe it's no changes, how much I know. But if it's gonna be any changes, then we'll talk again with the planning board to see what I have to do.
yeah, so let Noreen know the outcome. She will consult with us And
Okay.
again, if we have a map that better shows the improvements where there's no changes to the parking, et cetera, then we can move forward and schedule a special meeting for you.
I really appreciate the offer.
You're
Thank you
very
very much.
welcome.
Okay, so I'm all done?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, have a good night, everyone.
Hey, Bonnie,
Yes.
this is Pat. I just want to, for the record, I've been on here all meeting. I was the one that was raising my hand at the beginning there.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I think you ended up as in the attendees, not the panelists.
exactly. And I was on mute, so I couldn't get through.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm looking at this image real quick. Williamsburg Pediatrics, that sign's there still. But you could see that there's not a lot of space between the building and the curb.
Right.
And I am wondering whether, in fact, this is coming out some to be able to accommodate this ramp and access, and that these spaces are getting knocked out. So we'll find that out.
Yep.
I think there was just so much uncertainty. It probably was not, didn't make sense for the planning board to take action tonight.
I agree with that.
All right, guys. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay, thank you very much.
And thank you.
Have a good night.
Have a good night. So then, Sean, I just want to make sure that attendees don't have the ability to get on and be drawing or doing anything of that nature.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. It's some kind of control.
I'm not sure how to prevent that.
There was a chat that someone indicated that the person dropped off, Drew Binsky. So hopefully it won't happen again,
Yeah.
but I don't want that kind of nonsense going on again. Okay, next item on the agenda. Is Raywood Drive subdivision. So if you are an attendee and you are here to represent Raywood Drive, would you please raise your hand?
Should be Joel Mann if you see.
I do see Joel.
I see Joel, I see Caleb.
Caleb will be for Monroe Commons.
Okay, so we have, I see Lipa.
Monroe Commons, I think.
I've promoted
Okay.
Joel. Joel, is Lipa also?
Joel, who's here with you?
Caleb should be here from Peters and File. I'm not sure if Joe File is also on. So do you see Caleb?
I see Caleb.
Okay, so he needs to come. I'm sorry. Oh, we're talking now from 81 Raywood. I'm sorry.
Yes, we are.
Okay, no, 81 Raywood. I'm the only one. So I'm
Okay,
actually. So
okay,
I will. Larry Taro is the engineer. He couldn't make it, so I will be here
okay.
and take care of that. I'm not so professional with the camera, so whatever it is, you can see my face, and I will try to. I don't know. So, and I'm sitting on my office chair from 8 in the morning. So.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So, welcome. I think we're going to start out as we did with the last application. If you want to go over your comments, Sean, and then we'll ask Ashley if she has comments, and then we'll go to the board members on the latest map. And so maybe you want to bring up the map, and Joel can explain any changes that have been made since the last version.
Sure.
Okay, so basically, oh, you want to bring up the map first?
Yeah, for some reason my PDF is not showing it. Oh.
The other thing, can you repeat which application this is? I can't open my agenda and have the Zoom go at the same time for some reason.
It's the 81 Raywood Drive subdivision.
Thank you.
Can everyone see the PDF?
I can.
Yes.
So Joel, do you want to explain sort of where we are at this point?
Yes. So basically, at the last meeting, we have a couple of technical comments on the plans. One of the comments was actually what I see after the comments, that it wasn't addressed. I was under the impression it was addressed. That's the lot widths. It's just a small change. We'll need to change the numbers in the back here to adjust. So basically, the average shall match. This needs to be 95.5, it's just 0.3 off. So we'll take it from this lot. So it's not a big deal. So we will do that in the next set of revisions. We revised the EAF for single family on each lot instead of duplex as it was originally.
Okay.
We show the easements for the utilities, and we have all the trees on. The grading is more detailed. And we accomplished since the last meeting that I believe that the town board and the highway department is okay with this main extension, with the road extension.
Mhm.
And this should be something where it's resolved already. And the other accomplishment was that we got a water agreement in place with the village of Kiryat Joel. It's already signed, but I wasn't able to get it from the village. I will probably need to wait a couple days to see how I can get the signed document. But I believe that there was a submission for a copy of the agreement. Did the board get a copy of the agreement?
I don't believe so.
No? Okay, so we will then provide it
Yeah,
once it's executed at the next meeting, but we have the agreement in place already. The
I
plans
see that. I'm sorry. So we have the EAF revised. I'm just looking at, we have a water agreement. Did you say that it was executed? Yeah.
It was signed
executed.
already, but I'm not sure if you got it. I didn't get the signed one from the village yet, but we'll get it to you. It's approved
Okay,
already by the village. We'll get it to you signed once we have it.
Okay. So we do have that. I don't know. Ashley will ultimately have to look at it as well
Yeah.
as, I think,
So
the town attorney.
Yes, you can review it. If you have any comments, let me know. There might be that we can still do some corrections on it.
Okay.
With regards to the comments on the regards to Sean's comments is basically the number one is the applicant has revised application for now the application is also revised. The average lot width that we spoke about, the lot widths, and I know that was a mistake. Somehow Larry missed that, and we'll have it at the next submission. And this number 3 is basically for the board. Number 4, that's what it was like to accomplish tonight. If the planning board can, if we can move forward and schedule a public hearing so this project can move forward. The total area of disturbance should be identified on the plan. I believe this is something what he can easily provide to you, Larry, the engineer. The utility owners, Orange County DPW. So now Village of Kiryat Joel is now notified, and you will review the agreement, and we will provide you a signed one once we have it. Orange County DPW, that's for the sewer, will probably need an application in. Is that application going in now before you take action, or we shall wait? Can we already submit for
For what were you saying?
if we can already submit? I think we can submit now for the county for sewer. Orange County Sewer District number 1. So we will make an application into the county for their review.
Okay, just to step back for a moment. Ashley, we have to start seeker, correct? We haven't started seeker yet?
Yes, you do have to start seeker, and you have to complete seeker before you could think about scheduling the public hearing.
Right.
And you'll need a complete application. Just for example, some of the things that I think we had spoken about last time, maybe the tree plan, which I know trees are shown, but your law has very specific details as far as what needs to be shown under your tree law and what trees you're removing, what you're keeping, and things like that. Stormwater drainage elements, I think, need to be added, more detailed plans on those too. So, but to answer your question, yes, the seeker needs to be started. It hasn't been started yet. It would be an
So,
unlisted action.
so while, at this point in time, although we know that there still need to be revisions made, would it be okay to circulate a notice of intent to be lead agency?
Did you want to do a coordinated review?
Well, let me ask the board. So coordinated review is where we would coordinate our seeker review with any other agency that's involved in the approval process. And at a minimum, it would be our planning board, I guess Orange County Department of Health or Orange County Sewer District.
Sewer district,
Sewer district.
the village of Cary Joel for the water. Potentially, my comment number 5 for the total area disturbance is potential for a SWIP. I don't think one will be required, but you know, if the disturbance is identified as over an acre,
Okay.
a SWIP will need to be required. So therefore DEC would also be involved.
And then as far as the town board, do they have to sign off on the water agreement as an agency?
I think they're applying to be an outside user. So I believe just the applicant in the village of Cary Joel would have to be involved.
Okay. Any extension of the road?
Yeah, so there's the extension of the road, and I
Right.
did speak with the town attorney. So the town board is approving that. They are requiring that it not be extended anymore. So let me just pull up what.
That it couldn't be further extended to
Exactly,
connect to
so
any
it
other
can't
roads.
be extended and then
It-
connected with another road.
Right, so Joel, we would want to make sure that the cul-de-sac remains a cul-de-sac.
Yes.
And,
We're actually more than happy it shall stay like this.
okay, and we would actually, would be nice then if it's a cul-de-sac, subject to the highway superintendent reviewing any plans. I don't know if he would mind some landscaping at the end, sort of as a break between the village boundary and the town boundary and the cul-de-sac, but something to give some thought to. But we'd have to clear it through the highway superintendent.
Yes, and that's another requirement of the town board and then of this board too, of course, is that road extension in general has to be acceptable to the highway superintendent. I know he had reviewed it at one point, but if you want to maybe add that landscaping in and make sure that's acceptable too.
Okay. We have the Indiana bat, the northern long-eared bat. I don't think we have any DEC approvals, but just from a seeker perspective, I'd like it to go up to DEC just for any comments they may have. But I suspect it's going to be a tree clearing limitation.
Yeah, just like I said for DEC, potentially a SWIP, but you know, without the road grading and extension, I doubt we'll be over the 1 acre.
Okay. I think there are a few changes that need to be made to the EAF in terms of listing any other permits, approvals, or funding from any other government agency. The EAF that was revised says no, but there are other agencies. So board, there are a number of other agencies that are involved, and it would be my recommendation that we do coordinated review so that we are the lead agency for all the actions and we oversee the seeker process. What are anybody's thoughts? Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. That sounds reasonable.
Okay, so let me do this. Ashley, is it okay for me to make a motion that we conduct coordinated review and circulate a notice of intent, subject to changing the EAF?
Sure, so whatever changes you want to the EAF, would that just be adding, it would be the Village of Cary Joel, the town for the roadway extension, and the Orange County Sewer District #1, those were the other permits?
Yeah, I think the highway department and town board, maybe or not.
Yeah, if the roadway's not needed to be extended, is the town board involved?
It does need to be extended though. Doesn't it?
I apologize. I thought somebody said that the town board didn't want the extension.
Oh, it didn't want it extended to meet, to connect with another road.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right, they want, it's going to extend the cul-de-sac, but it doesn't extend it all the way through.
Mhm.
It'll
Gotcha.
remain a
Okay.
cul-de-sac.
My apology.
So, I would just
Then it
say,
would be appropriate to make the motion to declare your intent to be lead agency and circulate once you have a revised EAF. And
okay,
you could make a preliminary classification of an unlisted action.
so I make that motion that the Town of Monroe Planning Board circulate a notice of intent to the lead agency for the seeker review process, subject to any revisions that need to be made to the EAF prior to doing that circulation. We would have Ashley put together the notice of intent, and we would attach whatever maps exist at this time so that we could start the seeker process. May I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
And that's Jeff?
Yes.
Okay, and then Noreen, just do a roll call vote.
Sorry, I had to get unmuted there. Bonnie Franson,
Aye.
Jeff Manson,
Aye.
Anthony Vaccaro,
Aye.
Lisa McQuade.
Aye.
I'm sorry.
Aye.
Thank you. Jason Sterinsky,
Aye.
John Allegro,
Aye.
Pat Shea.
Aye.
Okay, all in favor.
Okay, so we can start the process of circulating for seeker. As Ashley indicated, before we can open a public hearing on the subdivision plan, we have to first complete the seeker process. So this is a 30-day circulation time period. There are some changes that need to be made to the plans. There needs to be additional review of the trees. Joel, when you get those changes back into us, we will put you on the agenda, but in the meantime, we're moving forward with seeker.
Okay, so for now, we will send you in the revised EAF as soon as possible, so you will be able to circulate that to the agencies, and we will work on the plan for the next meeting, basically.
Very good.
Okay.
So,
Bonnie,
Ashley, did you have any other comments?
Did your motion include the unlisted, that you typed it as unlisted? I don't recall.
I don't recall, so if it's all right, do I make another motion or I just
Make a
amend
motion
that one?
That would be good just for the record.
Okay, so I make a motion that the a proposed action be classified as an unlisted action. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Who was that?
Jason, I second it.
Thank you, Jason. Noreen, just do a roll call quick.
Bonnie Franson,
Aye.
Jason Sterinsky,
Aye.
Jeff Manson.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Jeff.
Aye.
Thank you. John Allegro,
Aye.
Lisa McQuade,
Aye.
Pat Shea,
Aye.
Anthony Vaccaro.
Aye.
All
Okay.
in favor.
So the motion carries. So Ashley, is there anything else that you have as far as comments?
I don't believe so. I mean, just again, to look at what other, details are required to have a complete plan, plat for purposes of the subdivision regulations, but other than that.
Okay. Okay, and then planning board members, do you have any comments at this time?
No.
No, anyone? Okay, so I think at this point, we've progressed the application to start the seeker process, and then Joel, you'll be back in front of us.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
Have a good night. Stay safe.
I'm staying here for the next item on the agenda, actually.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so the next item on the agenda is Monroe Commons. And let's look at the attendees. If you could raise your hand that you want to join in. I see Caleb, Jay. Anybody else? So Caleb or Jay, is there anybody else that we need to include?
At this point, whoever's here is whoever's here. Correct me if I'm wrong,
Okay.
Bill, but that's kind of the way it should work.
So Joe, we have Caleb and we have Jay Myro. Those are all the people who
I think so.
will
That's
be
the people that we need at the meeting here. And
communicating? Okay.
yes.
So again, as similar to our other applications, I think we'll start with Sean bringing up the plan, the sketch plan, and then we could run through his comments. We'll see what comments Ashley has, and then open it up to the planning board and their comments. So Joel or whomever wants, please provide us an overview of any changes that have been made.
Yeah, I can take care of that. First, I'd just like to say before I start, with regards to submissions to this board, we had originally made a submission of this site, a 3-page site plan, last revised December 19th, 2019.
Okay.
This was submitted the day after the February planning board meeting. We had submitted it in both electronic and paper submissions. And then at the last deadline, I believe it was on March 26th, we had made 2 additional submissions. We had made a 1-page submission of a plan, and we had also made a submission of a revised agency list based off the comments that had been made at the previous meeting. The submission that we had made in March, that was a 1-page sheet. That was just for to discuss parking. That was basically to show that we can provide the requisite amount of parking on this site. I believe in the village or in the town code, the board has the option to provide a 25% reduction within parking. That plan was to demonstrate that if the board allows that 25% reduction, that would be great. If not, we have the means on site to provide it. With that being said, that plan is for discussion purposes. The plan that we're talking about and would like to review would be the one last revised December 19th. I believe that was the one that you had reviewed, Sean. You may have I just saw on the on your comment sheet that it had been dated for March 25th.
Okay, so Sean, you want to take us
Sorry.
through?
Yeah, I believe I reviewed the 3-page set. I still think it's dated the 25th.
The 3-page set had been in December 19th, 2019. The one that you're looking at there, that's the max parking set. I apologize. With this whole outbreak and everything that went on, everything got jumbled around. So my apologies for.
It's basically what happened at the last meeting. The board didn't have the site plan, what we discussed at the last meeting. So we submitted the site plan a day after the meeting. So this was actually to compensate for the last meeting. And this is this site plan, the 25th, March 25th, is actually for the purpose of this meeting.
Correct. So
it's okay to leave this sheet up then?
Yeah, I mean, you can leave it up. I mean, it seemed like your comments were on the December 19th, but we can still discuss this. So as previously mentioned, just a brief overview of this site. This is a property located in Town Row. It's right off of Dunderberg Road. To the west is the town of Palm Tree, and to the north is the village of Woodbury town lines. What we are proposing is a 4-story commercial building with a building footprint of 82,700 square feet. The uses within this commercial building would be for retail on the 1st and 2nd floors, and then the 3rd and 4th floors would have hotel and office. And with regards to changes that have been made to this plan from the last submission, we've done a few different things. Previously, we had shown banked parking in the area of one of the emergency access drives. We've now removed that. I guess this is where kind of the discrepancy would lie. The plan that you have shows that parking. The plan that we had submitted would like to discuss no longer shows that.
Explain the removal of the bank parking again, the rationale.
So we had done a parking calculation at that time that did not require that area. Obviously, we'll need to. Since then, in February, we had had some discussions about the parking calculations and some of the different requirements. That'll need to be updated.
Caleb, was it the parking requirements or was it the pervious pavement, or it was specifically parking?
It was the parking. I believe at the last meeting we had discussions on the interpretations for the parking requirement calculations with regard to what was considered, a common area and what was considered a net area that could be removed. The inspector had made, clarification on that.
Okay.
So this plan was, as mentioned, this plan was dated in December, so it was before that had happened. But we'll be submitting an updated plan that will demonstrate the correct amount of parking that we can do.
Okay.
In terms of it,
I'm sorry, does the March plan that doesn't have the correct amount of parking?
This March plan is for discussion purposes only, to show that we can meet the, whatever the required amount would be once we update the calculations.
Well, I will, Caleb, if I may comment to explain a little bit, because I did the calculations based on the use and based on the discussion with the building inspector. So basically, on the submission on the February, let's call the February meeting and the December plans, we were still under the impression we did a letter to the building inspector, and that we believe that even for the retail shelving and fixtures can be discounted from the parking requirement area. So based on that, we came up on a calculation that we only need about 800, I don't have the plan in front of me, it was 800 and something parking spaces required. And based on that, we have proposed a plan. Whatever the building inspector came back, that he agreed that common area should not be counted, can be discounted, but like fixture areas and displays in the retail cannot be discounted. That made a big difference in the parking calculation. The plan, what you're seeing now, is actually is showing that we need 1135 parking spaces. We are providing 1109, but actually we changed a little bit the plans. Based on that, we actually have now a plan matching up, and that we need 1,109 parking spaces, and we have on the plan 1,109 parking spaces. That has nothing to do with the lot coverage. We'll point that out later. So based on that, we have enough parking spaces on the premises based on the required by the code, based on the latest interpretation from the building inspector on the uses of this building. Regarding
if I could just comment on that quickly, because I saw on that March plan, it still says there that that's excluding the area for the shelves and the fixture. So
no, that's probably a typo mistake. Wasn't updated, but in the fact you will have once you will have the final plan, you will see it very clearly, and it will not be counted. You can see very clearly that here it's required 1,135 parking spaces, and the December plan only about 800 and something parking spaces. So basically the 300 parking space increase was because that we added back the fixture areas, the fixtures to the calculation. So we have now parking for that areas.
When we resubmit the plan set will be accurate for the parking.
Yes. But for discussion purposes, that we are showing that we can add, and we have 1,109 parking spaces on the site.
Do you want to go to the comments?
Yeah, we can go through them.
Well, so basically since the plan hasn't changed significantly since the last time it was before the board and discussed thoroughly. I believe that was at the November 14th meeting. You know, the comments are generally the same. I don't know if the board wants me to run through them again. I'm more than happy to, but I think besides the parking, one of the other major issues that we should probably talk tonight about is the lot coverage, since that could significantly affect the plan.
So it's my understanding, Sean, was it in your memo that you indicated that the building inspector determined that the porous pavement shall be considered lot coverage?
That was in a different application, but you know, I don't think
It would apply here.
would change, right?
So Ashley, can you speak to that?
So we did speak about this, I think, at the last meeting with the applicant, and had explained that in another application, that was the determination, and that's, you know, going to stand. And they, I thought, said they were going to go back to the building inspector and maybe submit specifics and try and get that changed for what they want to do. But I haven't heard anything that would change that calculation, or that definition interpretation rather. So
If I may comment with an explanation, with a response on that. Basically, yes, at the last meeting, we agreed and we understand that just porous pavement is still lot coverage, but as discussed, we did since then, we did the research. We have a couple of materials, what is actually more like grass pavers, and it's a very nice green look, and it's actual grass where cars can park. There's multiple details and designs. We choose from 2 different companies, some details. We will provide that to the building inspector for reinterpretation of this is something what is acceptable to be, so it shall not be lot coverage. And one of the things we would like to also to accomplish is that we will basically, the banked parking areas, we will propose the banked parking areas from this material. So basically, so the original parking spaces will have real paving. This will be just proposed if we need to add more parking spaces, and we'll see based on the interpretation, we will finalize the calculation and we'll move forward.
So this is still an open item.
that's so, and
Still an
it's a
open item.
significant open item as far as, you know, if the interpretation is gonna stand, then, you know, either the plan's gonna have to be significantly modified or a variance will have to be sought.
Correct.
If you would also look at the front yard requirements of the zoning, because I seem to see latitude with regard to rear or side yards, but it seems to me in reading the front yard requirement that that's supposed to be left more in a natural state. But I think in general, just look at the front yard requirements. And can we speak to, since we're on the topic of building height, in that first comment, Ashley, I had a discussion, frankly, I can't recall who the discussion was with, but the applicant has been in front of the town board with a desire to change the building height for this particular zoning district. And it was my understanding that when we do seeker review for this application, it has to consider that zoning request change. Could you speak to that? Maybe Jay, you want to add in as well?
Yeah, so they did apply for a change to the zoning to increase the height for the entire district.
Mhm.
So that is because it was proposed as part of this specific application. It's considered type of part of the action for purposes of seeker. So when this board circulates a notice of intent and actually, you know, does the seeker, it will be it will also include the height change for the entire district. So not just for this property, it'll have to consider the impacts for the entire district, but the ultimate zoning change is going to be up to the town board, of course.
Okay. And I think as far as this particular property, it's in the HI district. So the other properties that would be affected would be those that we were actually just talking about. The one we were talking about, Yulstrassel, the several properties that are along 208 on the west side of the road. So when seeker is done, we have to consider the implications of changing the height on those properties as well. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. It'll be for the impacts of the entire district, changing the height. In the
Okay.
entire district.
Okay, for any properties in that district. Okay, thank you. Okay, where are we? Do we want to move on to 2?
I just,
Sean?
there's, the comments are significantly the same as the
Same?
yeah, just because the plans have not changed
Okay,
dramatically since the last. So I'm not sure if you want me to. I'm more than happy to go through them, but
yeah, let's just go quickly through them.
Sure.
Just to remind everybody what still seems to be outstanding, and you can provide the highlights of each comment.
Sure. So for the second comment, mainly it's about the storage in the basement. I'm suggesting that the board require that the storage is only for on-site uses and not for, to become a storage unit for, outside users.
Ashley, do we need any kind of interpretation from Ben for the storage area, whether that's considered accessory?
So that was my understanding. I think this actually came out maybe at a tech review meeting. We had talked
Okay.
about the storage, and the applicant had clarified at that point it wasn't going to be a separate storage use. It was just accessory for the uses, the other uses that are there. So that would be a
Better.
condition of any ultimate resolution.
That won't be an issue. That'll be something we can, we'll revise our plans to include a note that any storage use in the building will be for, the building use, not a separate.
Okay.
And the third one is about the retaining walls to the rear and to the side, a part of the separate development located within the Village of Curious Joel, and just that coordination has to be done for the 2 application to make sure that the gradings will work.
Related to that, is there any, Ashley, any kind of coordination or consent or anything that needs to be done if some of the construction relies on an adjoining property?
So we obviously want to know what that, is, and that if something on this plan is dependent on that, we'll have to see, as Sean was saying, to make sure that it works if there's any changes to that plan. So I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking in terms of if this plan relies on those improvements, then, and in the future, something has to be done to maintain those improvements. Who's maintaining it? Are there easements required, et cetera? I think the applicant should be thinking about that.
And if there's easements required for the construction of the walls on the site, that
Right.
by their property.
Right, that they would consent.
Right. Continuing with 3, I just state that they're proposing water from the 2 on-site wells proposed, and they've changed their sewer. It's still being pumped, but it's going to be pumped into the neighboring gravity collection system located within the neighboring project within the Village of Curious Joel.
So it's going to connect to Curious Joel's, this requires an Orange County Sewer District or an approval from Curious Joel?
It's everything, if I may introduce this, everything is Orange County Sewer District adjusted through developments within the Village of Curious Joel. So there's the new development, the VMG development next to this site, just got DEC approval for their mains, and wherever they will get final approval. And the proposal is to connect into their new main collection, what will be constructed soon.
Okay, so that would definitely require, I guess, Orange County Sewer District. Does it require anything from Curious Joel? Or I guess we'll have to determine what approvals are required.
it'll require an easement at the very least for the proposed improvements within that neighboring property.
So is it connected to a private sewer lateral, or at that point in time, that sewer lateral will be dedicated to Orange County Sewer District and it'll be a connection to a public sewer?
I believe it would be the connection to a public sewer, but I think but that's not clear based on the plans.
I think it would be very beneficial as we get submissions, Joel, that there's a narrative about the project as we go along.
Yep.
Addressing these various, just keep a running narrative that can be revised as we go along so we know what the proposed action is.
So you will have it in front of you while the meeting's okay. This is addressed and this is already explained. I got your point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
In comment 4, I have a few bullets. The first,
Oh, I'm sorry. Sean, can we
Sorry.
just, I have a quick question.
Sure.
So we have these proposed wells and then they show radii around the wells that are 100 feet and I believe 200 feet. And, I think those are intended for wellhead protection, but much of the area that's shown in the wellhead protection areas are paved surfaces. So what are the requirements as far as wellhead protection, and is this amount of impervious surfaces allowed?
Based on my experience, the 100-foot radius around each well, each community water supply well, is required to be owned by the well operator or the community water system.
Mm-hmm.
The 200-foot has to be controlled by the between the 100 and the 200 has to be controlled by the water system.
Okay. So it's not really about wellhead protection, it's just about control of the wellhead area, but there aren't any standards as far as what can happen in those areas?
Yeah, I believe there are, but that's under the purview of the health department that will be receiving those, since this will be a community water system.
Okay.
Yeah, so generally that's why I didn't touch upon that. Obviously there's concerns about salt for the parking lot
Right.
pricing and such, but generally the technical review of that is done by the Department of Health when they approve those community water supplies.
Okay.
So for the first bullet under number 4, I've got some comments about the parking. We already touched about the common areas that the building inspector, provided guidance on. The one question I still had was how the banked parking fit in. I'm not sure if there's a required determination from the building inspector on that.
Ashley, do you have any thoughts on that? As far as
the banked parking, it's something in the code that the planning board could determine. You are able to reduce the number of parking spaces. As a condition, the applicant has to demonstrate that an appropriate area is available to meet the parking area requirements. And such area has to be identified and reserved for 3 years following approval.
Okay.
And then you can require a bond to cover the construction of those improvements in the event the parking is needed in the future.
So it's really a planning board decision.
That would really be a planning board decision.
If I may ask a question, I believe there are 2 separate things. Number 1 is that the planning board has the power to waive 25% permanently, and then from the portion what we still need to do based on the requirement, let's say we'll need to do the 75%, we can still bank portion of this parking. Is that correct?
That I have to look in. I do not know offhand.
Okay.
You said it was a 25% reduction separate from the banked, or?
Separate from the bank,
Okay.
yes.
And I'm looking at the parking section.
It's in 2 different sections, so not 2 different, it's 2 different paragraphs. I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, so I did find that. That is in, Bonnie, it's in 5747 sub E.
Mm-hmm.
So that actually, it's dealing with business parks, reducing
Right.
parking up to 25%. So
I don't know that this is a business park.
yeah, it wouldn't be, unless there's another requirement that you were talking about.
Yeah, Harriman Commons is our business park.
Yeah, that's all that I saw that came up for the 25%, but
And then F is just, F says in appropriate cases, planning board may reduce the number of parking spaces to be constructed prior to issuance of a C of O. The applicant must demonstrate that an appropriate area is available to meet the parking area requirements of this article, and such areas shall be identified and reserved for parking purposes on the site plan.
yeah, so that's the banked.
That's the banked. And I don't see that it has anything in terms of the amount that can be banked. So I think all that would be subject to a parking study to demonstrate that, you know, they can bank the parking and that it isn't needed at, you know, from the beginning.
So basically, so what we came up is that the 25% is only for a business park and not for this type of use.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
But there is the opportunity still to bank the parking. So you have to show that you can meet the parking requirements, but then some of it can be reserved area until such time that it's needed, if it's even needed. So I think F applies, but E doesn't appear to apply.
Okay.
And again, just make sure to look at yard requirements and planting strips and, you know, for any non-residential areas, and if, you know, what's required for the front yard, et cetera, so that, you know, we're aware of either A, a modification that's necessary to the plan, or B, whatever variances that you might want to pursue.
Okay. So the next three bullets we already touched on: the lot coverage, the storage within the basement, and the building height.
Okay.
So then we go down to the next subsection. You know, the 60 scale is good for a concept review, but you know, as we get more developed plans, we'd look for a smaller scale. You know, to be able to review more. You know.
Yeah, in more detail.
Exactly. Yeah. So let me just minimize this. So the next one is about the, you know, none of the parking spaces and sidewalks and et cetera are dimensioned. We'd look for that. The waste enclosure, if the board recalls, was all the way at the back of the site, at the top of the slope in the rear. They've actually revised that to a trash compactor. If I can pull up the plans. At the in the loading dock area, right here. It originally was back in this corner. And then we already touched about the emergency access drive was removed. There's Army Corps wetlands on the site, and you know, that'll affect the Town of Monroe local wetlands permits.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if Dunderberg is right. Is it actually Nininger that this project is located?
Nininger.
Is a county highway, so DPW permits required. We already touched about the retaining walls by others. Some of the proposed retaining walls as part of this project can be as high as 39 feet. That's some significant walls in the rear. We're just concerned about some of the vehicle loading that will be superimposed on those fills in the rear.
Right.
And then there's concern about the height and type of wall. And, you know, we already touched about the construction and potential permanent easements for maintaining those walls. And then the slopes for the driveway access ramps here and here are identified as 8% on this side and 10% on this side. Those are pretty steep. Obviously, they're not shown on this plan, but on the grading plan, which unfortunately I don't think I have up, they're identified as 8 and 10%. So they're a little steep. I'm not sure if the applicant can maybe work to reduce those for potential icing issues. And then, you know, I'm not sure if these conceptual plans are ready to be referred, you know, for circulation at this time, but it's obviously up to the board.
So, Ashley, do you want to weigh in as far as any of the major comments, which from my perspective, I think they need to be resolved. And, you know, ultimately, as far as the layout, I feel like we're, from my perspective, especially after considering the comprehensive plan, that we're kind of plopping down this, you know, building on the site, doing a lot of grading to accommodate parking areas where I think this could be more terrain adaptive. And when we get to seeker and any alternatives, I would like to see sort of some different layouts at a minimum, even if this is what the applicant wants to pursue. But, you know, 39-foot walls is pretty significant. And to me, that just speaks to having a very large building that is not, again, kind of adapting to the sloping conditions of the property. The same thing with the parking layout. I think I've seen sites where they've been able to keep some of the vegetation in between rows of parking as it's, again, you know, adapted to the site. And I think there's a better plan here, and we still need to work on this plan to get, you know, a layout that, you know, is beneficial and attractive to the town and, you know, provides the economic development that, you know, could be provided by this project. So, Ashley, do you want to speak to some of the bigger issues?
Well, we did speak a little bit earlier about seeker, and I think we had talked about at one of the prior meetings that it is a type 1 action.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of involved agencies, obviously, so
Mm-hmm.
I'll be coordinating the review with a lot of different agencies. As far as the plans, I mean, you know, seeker wants you to, you know, start that process as early on. I do, you know, agree. At least as far as the coverage issue, that's really a main one that I think it could really, you know, it's really going to drive, I think, what could be done with the plan. So that's why I wanted, you know, the applicant, it's really best for them to get that resolved right at the outset, because it really will have significant implications. I don't know, you know, how quickly the applicant's able to maybe submit something to the building inspector and see. I mean, I am concerned that that interpretation is going to stand and that there's going to be, you know, some kind of relief one way or another the applicant's going to have to get or change the plan. So
Yeah, I think we need to find that out, because then, you know, there's a question as whether to, because I don't know that we have any variances yet, do we?
no, so I guess because they are seeking the zone height change instead of a variance,
Mm-hmm.
the ZBA wouldn't, they're not seeking any other variances that I'm aware of.
So if they want to stick with this lot area or the lot coverage area, if front yards are being encroached upon, or if that is in fact what's required, if there aren't planting strips being provided, et cetera, I think we need to further refine this layout and find out what variances, if any, are needed, because then we're going to then have to involve the ZBA, both in seeker and the action.
I have a question if you don't mind. I wasn't involved. I wasn't at the February meetings, but can somebody update me on what has occurred with Seeker? Have you?
Who's
have you
speaking? I'm sorry, because I
started
can't.
I'm sorry,
I can't
Jay
see
Myron?
faces. Thank you,
Jay?
Jay. Thanks, Jay.
Yeah, sorry about that. Have you circulated your intent to be lead agency?
We haven't. That's what we're talking about right now. We haven't. So I guess the question is, we will need to circulate lead agency, and
Yeah, from my standpoint, that's urgent.
So then-
Seeker mandates that this be done immediately. And we're talking about possible variances. We're talking about town board actions. We're not going to be able to do any of those until, there's a seeker determination. So the longer we go without starting that process, the longer the whole process is going to go.
I'd like to add to, we had discussed a agencies list, and you had made some recommendations at the last meeting. We did resubmit a revised agencies list. If you'd like to, we want to go over that tonight and see if that's good to go.
I didn't see a revised list. I just saw the one from February.
Right. So I don't see, for instance, the ZBA here. And I think the ZBA is a question mark because some of the larger issues are still not addressed in terms of the interpretations.
That can, okay, we acknowledge the ZBA should be included on the list.
Do we have Orange County Sewer District? Is that the Orange County? Yeah, okay. Orange County Environmental Facilities and Services is here. So we have the town board, the planning board.
My experience, new community water systems require New York State Health Department approval. So if you could just add those to the list as well.
What was that, Sean?
New York State.
New York State.
To Orange County Health Department.
Okay. That if you go down, I may have included that as one of the interested agencies. To be honest, I don't have it on me. I don't remember. So I can add it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see it as I don't see New York State Department of Health on here.
Okay, that can be added.
So
I
is
think
the
that's
board,
some others that we had talked about, I think, at the last meeting. I think Sean had mentioned some of them, and someone else, maybe a couple of the others, but they were the Village of Monroe, Village of Harriman, the Monroe Woodbury School District, and Shippo? Might be.
Yeah, they're not on here.
Right.
Those were added as part of the.
We'll add them as well.
I don't know if I had. May not have the Monroe Woodbury School District. I can add that on there.
Yeah, that's not here. Who is our fire district? The fire district definitely has to be included. Because we'll definitely want to consult with them.
That'll
I
be
think
added.
the other two were Village and Town of Woodbury that someone had mentioned too, as interested.
They're already on the list for.
There, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Village of Monroe too.
As long as we're talking
Oh,
about
right.
municipal boundaries or just on the location map, could you just verify if the municipal boundaries shown are accurate? I see where Town of Monroe looks like it's on the other side where with Curious Joel. And maybe it is, maybe it hooks in. It just looks like odd to me.
I'll admit it's an odd site, but no, the location map is accurate.
As
So
far as
the-
the road, is it now, it's correct that it's Nininger, not Dunderberg, or did I hear that wrong?
I think it should be Nininger.
Nininger.
Should be nice.
That'll need to, yeah, that'll need to be changed on the plan, obviously. The EAF as well, and I had some other suggestions for the EAF. I don't know whether, Bonnie, you want me to go over those now?
Sure, and just I looked it up, so, but all of the properties in Monroe are in the Monroe Fire District, so we need to coordinate with them as well for seeker purposes.
So we'll add them as an interested.
So if we're going to have to finalize the list after tonight, I don't think that would preclude you from making a determination tonight that you want to circulate your intent to be lead agency. I think you can do that, and then we can finalize the list. So I'd ask the board to consider taking that action.
So I would only ask Ashley whether, if we don't know about some of Ben's determinations with the parking and we don't have a list of the variances, should we take action now, or do we just add the zoning board of appeals? Or do we at least have one more meeting to get, a refined list of what variances may be needed?
No, you can add it. We have no problem with you adding it. It can't hurt.
Okay.
Yeah, you could include the ZBA in the event that they're needed.
Sure.
Maybe at this point it's unclear whether they'll be involved or interested, but you could include them on there. But I did, I do have some changes to the EAF. I don't know if you want those to be done and the EAF resubmitted as well. And I think that before anything gets circulated, the plan should be revised to at least, have the right road name.
Yes. And usually on the circulations we do for a project of this size, which is obviously going to change, on the notices, we like to say that, this is the project that's being advanced by the applicant and it's subject to change as it goes through the process. But I really would like, before we circulate, a list of what the potential variances are, so that we can, either they're involved or they're interested.
And just to be clear on the road name, it is Nininger on one end and Dunderberg on the other. So I don't know where Dunderberg and Nininger start and end. They're the same road.
So it's County Route 64.
That I think is.
And looking at the Orange County GIS website, it's Nininger, and Dunderberg goes off, behind the high school. And then I don't know if Dunderberg continues on to, where it meets up by Woodbury Commons, but
I see.
Dunderberg is showing up as being, again, that road that goes behind the middle school and the high school.
Okay.
That'll be
So
resolved at the next submission.
Okay. Board members, what are your thoughts as far as circulation right now?
I'm good.
I would prefer holding off until we have a full and complete set, but I'm kind of more or less indifferent, but my preference is to hold off until we have a full and complete set of everything to send out.
I'm fine with initiating and circulating.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we have enough to start initiation also.
Yeah, I agree. I think we have enough to start.
Okay. So what we'll do is we'll work with the applicant to make sure that the EAF is accurate, and have whatever updates we need from Petrosac and FAO in terms of at least the labeling of the road. We should be clear on which map we're sending out, the one with the bank parking or the other. We should also be clear. I'd like to know for certain whether the ZBA is going to be considered involved or interested before we circulate. So we can do it in the interim, but I'd like the applicant to get us some answers on that.
I think, if I can weigh in, I think you list them as an involved agency. I don't think if we don't need them, I don't think it affects us one way or the other. And it's safer that way, I would think. Ashley?
Yeah, it's definitely safer that they're identified as an involved agency in the event you do need a variance, because Bonnie, I don't know whether they're going to have an answer at least to that larger parking issue. If it's something where Ben's going to maybe make a determination that could get appealed, or if they're just going to go for the variance, I think that we'll include them as an involved, certainly, and then whether or not they need them, we'll have to see.
Yeah, well, by the next meeting, we should kind of know where we're going with it. But for now, for the circulation, then we'll include it. We'll include them as an involved agency. So Ashley, do you want to go through your EAF revisions first, or do you want us to make a motion to start the seeker process?
It's up to you. If you want me to go over them, and that way if you want these to be made, or if you want me to just send them to the applicant. I mean, some of them, things were just not answered. Need to be answered. Some of them are just adding some government approvals. I think we had talked about most of them tonight, but not all of those are on the actual EAF, even if they're on the involved list.
So let's do this. Why don't you send us your revisions, and planning board members, take a look at it. If there's any other revisions we need to make, get them back to Ashley, let's say by Monday. And then, Ashley, you can work with the applicant to get the EAF updated. And then if you could circulate a draft notice of intent for us to review.
Sure, I could do that. I mean, there's really not a lot of the EAF ones. If you want to I could just walk through them now.
Okay.
It might just be easier. If you're, Bonnie, are you able to pull up the EAF? Because I have my list. I don't want to share my screen and then have too many things up.
Let me see what I have here. Involved agencies. I have the sketch plan, involved agencies, a letter from Jay to Ashley. Let me see if this is it. Nope.
It would have been, I think, one of with their initial submission.
So from 11/14. Does that sound right? Here, let me bring it up.
Ashley, are you referring to the long form EAF that was dated October 29th, 2019?
Yeah, mine, I think it's, October.
I'm just panning down. Yes, it's October 29th I have. So could you, can I get the screen, Sean?
Yeah, I stopped sharing.
Okay. So let's see here. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so right on that first page in section A, again, just to change the name of the road, I guess, to Ninninger, and then county route, is it 64? On the question 2.
Hold on before we move forward. So we're going to change Dunderberg to Ninninger. And then in terms of brief description of action, I think we need a little more information there. In terms of number of parking spaces, you do have on-site wells. Talk about the connection to the sewer district, the Orange County Sewer District. I just like more specificity here. And is the building going to be 4 stories or 5 stories?
4.
Okay, it's just the height that's changing then.
Correct.
So I think in the brief description of the action, we should talk about the fact that this also includes a zoning amendment to the HI zoning district. Because that's part of the overall action now. Okay.
So and then government approvals. So that needs to include the town board for the zoning amendment. Right now, I think it says ZBA variance, but that they're instead seeking the zone change for that.
Right, so this has to change.
And then it also needs to add the Orange County DPW for the entrance permit, Orange County Department of Health for public water, New York State Department of Health for public water, and DEC for Speedy's permit.
Okay. So this will be updated. Joel, are you working on this?
It was Carol.
I'm sorry, Caleb?
Yeah, I was working on this. So basically, it's all of the different involved agencies.
Yeah, anybody who has an approval. And usually in the county agencies, we do mention the referral that goes to the planning department, even though technically it's not an approval.
Yeah, we
As
can,
a referral?
we'll throw it in.
Okay. Coastal
page-
resources.
On page 3, so section C3C, that should be yes, because a zone change is being sought, a zone amendment, and explain what's being requested there.
Okay.
The next one's on page 4. So it's D1G and then 3 I's. That question was not answered. The approximate extent of
Phone
the
number
building
strip.
space to be heated or cooled, if you could give that approximate.
Okay.
Next one is on page 5 for D2C and then 2 I's. That's not answered. It should be no. I believe it should be no. Where is it? And then for right under that, D2D and then 3 I's, it's also on page 5. I just had a question about the existing Harriman wastewater treatment plant and the capacity to serve the project. Just highlighted that might be an issue.
So in other words, should this be checked? Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that. I think it's checked yes. Is that
accurate? Do they actually have the capacity?
We'll look into it. I don't have an answer for you right now, but obviously that'll be up.
Okay.
On the moment, they have capacity and they're planning now expansion for 3 million gallons. Probably you're aware of that. So.
But if they have capacity, why are they expanding?
Or whether it's expanding is going to be the question.
I think for future growth.
Or if that's needed for the project. The next one's on page 7.
Okay.
D2J.
I think J has to be answered yes.
Yes, that's what I would
Or to be determined. I wouldn't say no.
Actually, so based on the seeker workbook for completing the FEIF, they give you certain thresholds as to what constitutes substantial traffic for a particular application. And this one, it exceeds 6,000 square feet of retail space, and it also exceeds 67,000 square feet of general office space. So it satisfies 2 of those. So
right. I think this entire J needs to be filled out.
yes.
Okay.
And then I think the next one was also on page 7, D2K. I was not answered. The TBD, if you could give an annual estimate.
That was D2K.
Yes, D2K, then little I.
Okay.
And I believe that was it.
Yeah, we can get you answers on that. That's, like you mentioned, it doesn't seem that bad.
So then, Bonnie, if you would want, you could do a motion to
Yeah, and
to be lead agency and circulate a notice of intent upon receipt of a revised EAF as discussed tonight and the revised plans as discussed tonight.
I'd like to give all of us until Monday to any other proposed amendments they'd like to make to the EAF. For instance, I'm seeing, will the proposed action produce noise that will exceed existing ambient noise levels during construction, operation, or both? I would think at least during construction, it probably will. So I just think there's some additional changes that, everybody who has this, if they want to send any suggested changes, we can send them to Ashley, who can coordinate with Caleb by Monday.
Yeah, we'll take a look through it. Yeah.
Okay. So with that, I will make a motion. I will say, typically for a project of this size, we like to see an EAF with some attachments that show wetlands, that show the trip generation numbers, a little bit more of a narrative. So although we're circulating now, I think this is a little lean as far as an EAF for the size of the project. But we will, again, everybody get their comments in by Monday. So with that, I'll make a motion that we declare a notice of intent to be lead agency for this action, subject to the EAF being updated and the maps being updated for circulation, and that the action be typed a type 1 action. Did I miss anything, Ashley?
Nope, got it all.
Okay. May I have a second?
I'll second.
That was John.
Yeah.
Noreen, can you do a roll call?
Bonnie Franson,
Aye.
John Allegro,
Yes.
Jason Swerensky,
Aye.
Jeff Manson,
Aye.
Lisa McQuaid,
Aye.
Anthony Vaccaro,
Aye.
Pat Shea.
Aye.
Thank you all in favor.
Okay. Board members, do you have any comments, questions that you want to address to the applicant or the representative? Is that a dog or a cat, Jeff?
Dog now, cat before. They're all. I do have a comment. Obviously, taking into consideration the current situation, I just feel like as we're looking at these plans more and more, and based on your comments earlier, Bonnie, I'd love for us to be able to coordinate a tour of the site. I know we're free to go and take a look ourselves, but I think to be able to get on site, it's a bigger site, and to see what the present conditions are, and have you show us this is where the building is going to be, this is where the various things are going to be, so we can start to envision the plan actually on the site a little better, and
Right.
what some of the changes that we can expect to see in that area will be. I
Right.
just think that would be very helpful if everyone else feels the same way.
I think it's a good idea, and right now, it might be good to get out before things really leaf out. It is a fairly dense site, so I don't know how easy it is to get in there. I don't know, Joel or Caleb, if you've kind of made any kind of, done any just limited clearing to be able to do any testing at this point. The other thing that's always beneficial is if the applicant can stake out, let's say where the entrance drive is going to be, kind of the four corners of a building out in the field. Again, I don't know if it's a little premature to do stakeouts, especially if there's, if anything's subject to change. But, certainly we like to do our field visits, and, we should try and get out there.
Just say also with regards to the stakeouts, we're still in the process because of this quarantine, trying to figure out how to get that accomplished.
That's true, right? Right. And I think we could get on the site. I think we would have to just keep our social distancing, I believe.
You will speak in the phones.
So, maybe Ashley, you should look into what we are and aren't allowed to do as far as field visits.
Yeah, I'm not sure that that's actually come up, but you can't have any non-essential gatherings, so it would really come down to, whether it's
Considered essential?
or if it's
Mhm.
something, that could be postponed until after May 15th for now.
Right,
We'll have-
right.
But I'll look into that.
Yeah, if you could look into that for us.
I'm actually here on the premises. My office is just next door, so I'm basically available anytime.
Okay.
I was originally going to say, if you wanted a tour, Joel can just pull back the shades.
Yeah. I'm just sitting on this site plan now, on the corner.
You know what, Joel? Did you get a drone? Do you have a drone?
I don't have a drone.
We could do a drone overview of the site.
Right. Okay. I can see if I can get one.
Caleb, do you have a drone?
Not on me, no. I wouldn't say no if somebody gave me one.
Does the company have one?
Nah,
You guys don't use drones?
not yet.
Yeah, for a project of this size, especially to get back there, because I think it's pretty heavily vegetated, if I recall. Having a drone might be really interesting, but then again, you'd have to have some kind of stakes or markers and be in off leaf to really be able to see much, but that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
See what you can do.
I'll see. I'll look it up.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Anything else? Planning board members, you're good? Yes? Okay. All right, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you,
evening.
Joel. Thank you, Jay. Have a good one.
Good evening.
All right, all. So, does anybody need to bring anything up, or we're good to adjourn the meeting at this point?
Just a reminder, I need to talk to you after the meeting before we totally hang up.
Okay, so Noreen, we have to stay on. That means that Sean has to stay on.
Yeah, it'll be like 2 minutes. So just after we adjourn, if all board members can stay on for like 2 minutes.
Okay, and the consultants.
Yeah.
There's no way to get the, is this like an executive session or?
Yeah. I
No,
wanted
it's
to
not
ask that.
executive session. It
Is
just
it an
doesn't need to be.
attorney-client or is it, I'm just trying to, figure out the board can't.
We can't just exclude.
Exactly.
Okay, so Walmart called today.
Okay.
They're trying to get their full application back in, and
Okay.
they're hoping to have it to me by Friday, the latest.
Okay.
Emmy called me about 4:30 this afternoon.
Okay.
They're hoping to have it to me by Friday, and she was wondering if there was any way we could do a special meeting prior to our next January meeting to do an emergency, since we were so close to the resolution. For them, it was just having to do with their paperwork, because they are backed up a lot with the pickups.
I don't necessarily have an issue with holding a special meeting, but we need the paperwork.
No, I know. As soon as it comes in, I'll get it out to everybody. But she was just wondering if I could ask tonight, and I didn't know whether I should do that while we were still recording or not. No one's ever asked me to do that.
So I think, let's see what the paperwork, if it's in order, then we can see if we can schedule a special meeting. It doesn't have to be at night. We just need a quorum of people to pass the resolution. And then give the appropriate notice, which Ashley can help us with.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody remembers the Walmart was for the additional.
4 extra spots.
Right. So it's not a major site plan amendment. It's just they haven't been able to get their paperwork in order. The basic application
You want to
paperwork.
talk about a possible date of the meeting if you're anticipating getting their stuff in on Friday?
What are people's schedules like during the day or evening? Day would frankly be easier to some extent for me.
Pull up my work calendar. Are you looking for next week, that neck of the woods, or something else?
Like toward the end of the week?
Well, I don't think I'm going to get everything. If she even gets it to me by, she was hoping to have it herself by the end of today, tomorrow afternoon, the latest.
Okay.
She's going to email it to me, and then I have to email it to all of you for you to review before we do anything. So it would have to be, I would think, one day next week if you could.
Friday looks pretty empty for me. I could also do like a Wednesday midday.
This coming Friday?
2nd?
Is it May
It'd
1st?
be May 1st.
Oh, sorry. Yes, that's Saturday.
Yeah, May 1st, I'm pretty empty. I'm busy from 9 to 10, but that's it.
I'm pretty during the day, very flexible the 28th through the 1st.
28th, I'm all day. You can have me.
What are other people's schedules like?
I'm available Wednesday till about 3, and then Thursday and Friday, anytime after 3.
Okay.
I'm pretty flexible. This is Pat.
Okay.
This is Anthony. I'm usually pretty flexible. I don't have access to my work calendar right now, but if somebody, puts out a time and then I can check it and maybe we can move it 1 hour earlier or later, I can make room during normal business hours. And then after normal business hours, the 27th, I have a meeting, which is Monday, and then the rest of the week I'm free.
Yeah, I have more evening meetings. So for me, I have evening meetings on the 28th and the 29th at 6:30 and 7. So we could do something, maybe around 4. Is that a possibility?
Yep.
On the
That would be good for
29th?
me.
What day of the week is the 29th? I'm better
It's a
on.
Wednesday.
um, well,
How are we or the, I'm on
We're
the,
not available till 3. Is that on Wednesday? I think.
No,
Jeff-
I'm available till about 3. I go into work on Tuesday and Wednesday at 4 o'clock.
So maybe
so
Thursday
how's-
at 4.
how's Thursday at 4 for everybody?
That works for
That
me.
works.
I don't know that I could do the Zoom. I might be able to do it on my phone. My husband and I are
Okay.
both working from home, so I think he has
Okay.
a meeting. But his meeting might not start till 5. So, Wednesday, Thursday is not as good. Earlier in the day would be better too, but whatever works for everybody else is fine.
And John Allegro, are you good?
Anything for me is going to have to be tentative.
Okay.
Because of the nature of my job.
Okay, so, but it looks like in general, we would have a quorum if we did it at 4 on Thursday. So,
29th?
the 30th, I think we were talking
Okay.
about, yeah, the Thursday. So let's
Okay.
just say, let's just schedule something for 4.
Okay.
And that would be on Thursday, 4:30. And Sean, are you available to do the Zoom?
I am.
Okay, perfect.
Just in the WebEx, doesn't matter.
I think we
You're,
should stick
you're a
to
Zoom guy.
WebEx. There's a lot of Zoom bombers and
You wanted to do a motion to set that meeting for 4 on the 30th?
Sure, so I make a motion that we set a special planning board meeting on Thursday, April 30th at 4 PM for purposes of conducting planning board business. Do we have to say specifically what's on the agenda?
You
Or
don't have to, and that way you never know if something's gonna pop up or.
like Stossel maybe?
Yeah, it's best not to limit it usually.
Okay, may I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Who is that?
Jeff has it.
Thank you.
Okay, Noreen, do roll call.
Bonnie Franson,
Aye.
Anthony Vaccaro,
Aye.
Lisa McQuaid,
Aye.
Jeff Manson,
Aye.
Jason Sawinski,
Aye.
John Allegro,
Aye.
Pat Shea.
Aye.
Okay, we have a quorum.
Okay. All
All in
right,
favor?
so we'll do WebEx or Zoom. Ashley, Sean, if you want to coordinate.
Sure.
So I see chat that is very disgusting. Now that I'm kind of looking at it, because I wasn't looking at it before.
I know.
So I don't,
I actually kicked those people off, so that's,
okay.
yeah.
So is that more controllable with WebEx or?
So this is the reason why my firm does not use Zoom. We've been using Microsoft Teams or WebEx.
Yeah, I think
With
that
WebEx, there's a way to, you could limit chat just to, you could either make it so that people can't use it at all, or they could just talk to the host.
Yeah, you
not
lose some functionality with WebEx, like you can't annotate on another person's screen, and it's a bit more private in that the only people who can get in have the password, and then whoever the host is can determine who talks and who doesn't.
we've actually done that with Zoom meetings too, where, again, I don't, there's different opinions about how to notice the meetings, but I don't know. I thought that with attendees, we could control their ability to chat on Zoom as well. I just, maybe we didn't anticipate they'd do it, so we didn't turn it off. But Sean, do you know if you can turn off the chatting?
My apologies. I didn't before tonight, but I'll definitely look into it tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, I think we need to really, just immature, rude, disgusting people like to get on these Zooms. So you know what, Ashley and Sean, maybe you'll just coordinate it and let us know.
Sure.
You know, if we can't control chats, if we can't control the annotations, then we should just go onto WebEx.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
All right, guys.
All right.
Are we good?
Yes, we are good. So motion to
All right.
close the meeting and then
Sean can stop recording. And then somehow I think we have to determine how to transcribe the video conferencing. So Ashley, let us know what we have to do, you know, to stay consistent with the executive order.
sure.
So with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn. May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, and this time I'll just say all in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone not in favor?